Hi, this is Ken Landgraf, Bronze Age comic book artist. I'm going to be showing you some inking tips today, and what I'm going to be doing is showing you how to turn the page to get the proper angles when you're inking. So let's look at Wonder Woman here. She's fighting Giganta. She's captured Power Girl, and Batgirl is also in the mix fighting. Let's say I'm going to do some of her hair. I'm turning the page now, so what I saw a lot of the comic masters do when they were inking, they would turn the page towards themselves so the line of the brush could go down. Like, see, we have a big C shape here, right? So, and I'm looking at the drawing here now, and I'm looking at her deltoid muscle. And this is a big round shape, so what you want to do is turn the paper towards you again and ink long lines to short lines to show the form better. So that makes it look rounded. And here we have a long part of the arm, the bicep area. So what I'm going to do here is come in at an angle. And again, I'm going to go from longer lines to shorter lines to show the form the best I can. And one of the things you might do or should do is when you're looking at a form, like see this rounded shape, what I'm going to do is draw a thicker line to show the form of it. So in other words, this is farther away and this is closer, and I'm also showing you the side plane here. Let's look at Power Girl here for a while. Okay, I'm going to work on her bust line here, and what I'm doing is I'm throwing a shadow from the rope that goes to her costume, and I'm going to leave a white space right here. That's just more interesting. See how cool that looks? And I'll start rendering this now. Long lines to short lines. And then we're looking here, we got a round shape. I'm thinking this is the middle part. So sometimes I'll put a line in the middle part and work my way towards that middle part. Here I'm going to put like a Y shape. That's one of the things Wally Wood always did. And what I'm doing here is leaving a white space. Turning the paper again, getting the angle that you feel comfortable with. Try it out like this first before you put the line down. One of the things I'm doing too is I'm using these flare pens. This is a Pilot flare pen. It's got a nice plastic tip on it, so you get like an entirely different type of line. Let's say I'm going to work on the deltoid here. I like this because it's plastic. You can press on it really hard. And also what I did is I took the top of this off and put there's like a sponge inside. And I took the sponge and put it into India ink. So it's really nice, dark quality ink here now. You can ink with the ink that's in there. It's a very good quality ink. I like to add my Speedball ink in there. And between the cleavage here, I'm going to use some short lines to show that there's shadow there. And let's see her hair. Okay, you definitely got to turn that towards us so you get the C shape of her hair. And again, I'm being very conscious to leave a white space. I really like this because because it has India ink in it, it's like a thicker, so I can really mess around with it. On Giganta, I'm gonna draw like a side of her breasts here. So let's put long lines to, let's keep the lines from long to short again. And I'll do a crosshatch just for fun. And I'll also throw a shadow from it onto her arm. And I jump around a lot. I'll take up another pen, like this I'm grabbing right now is a bold point Uniball Signa pen. So let me just get a picture of that. There it is. And I like this one too because it gives a different line. Again, I'm turning the paper to get the angle to ink. Like this is natural, the C shape. These pens you can't fill with ink because there's not a sponge in it, so like a plastic tube that has ink in it. But the ink quality is excellent. You can see it like shining when it goes onto the paper. I love it. Again, leaving a white space. And let me put a lighting effect on her face. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm going to do like a Wally Wood lighting effect. I'm going to put a line down the middle. And I'm going to ink the shadows on her other side of her face. And, you know, you can look at Wally Wood and study it. I've memorized this, so I don't need to use any reference. You should use reference all the time. It's going to look better. Gil Kane told me, don't just draw what you know out of your head. Look at other artists so you can learn something every time you draw something. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm turning the paper, because what I want to do is pick up on her face here. Now, this is real heavy light, so I want to get some dark in here. And I'll look at Wonder Woman's arm. Again, it doesn't matter what I ink with because I'm using the same techniques. What I'm doing here is outlining her arm in the middle. And I'm going to do something fancy here. I'm going to take her wristband and throw the shadow down from it. See how liquid that is? I love this pen. It's one of my favorites. I'll turn the paper again to get the other side of her arm. And you want to put a shine on her wristband. One of the best things you could do is this kind of like burst effect. And I'll look at her hand. Throw a shadow from the hand. Render on the side planes here. And let's see what I'm going to do here on her breasts here. I'm going to draw in some shading. Again, this is the midline. So once I define that, then I can start putting ink lines on. I'll do something fancy. She's got these like spots. So wherever there's a spot, I'll leave a space. Yeah, a lot of times I'll jump around. Like I'll take a different drawing and start inking on it. So I always got a pile of drawings here. And I'm throwing this one down. Let's work on this Batgirl figure. I'm going to ink on her butt here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out where the middle part is. Put a line. And then start rendering. See, because I got the midline, it's kind of easy to figure out what to do with the rest of the form here. And once this pen runs out of ink, you can either dip it in the ink or you can throw it away. I buy like a whole box of these, like maybe 25 pens at once or 12 pens. And you want to get this to be shiny leather, so I'll turn it around. Again, it always has to do with turning to the right angles that you want to use. And then figuring out like a midline. So let's say this line here, I'm going to pick up where the midline was. And I'm going to feather in upward. Remember now, you're always inking around forms, so always try to draw the general shape of the thing before you start rendering. And I'm going down her leg here. And again, I'll turn the page. It's always important to turn the page. I used to watch Russ Heathink and Jack Abel and Neil Adams. They always turn the page. And since I'm inking on a flat desk, I'll probably put a weight of some sort, like a stapler or mouse for my keyboard on here so it doesn't buckle and move. Okay, that round shape is nice, but I'm going to put some lines in it. Oh, that's looking good. And again, find the middle part of the buttocks and then start rendering. And what you can do is I'm going to throw a shadow from one of the butt cheeks here to the other one. And now I'm going to use the Sharpie pen. See if I can get it into focus. There it is. Sharpie pen. It's not a Sharpie brush now, it's a Sharpie pen, but it actually is a brush. So I'll work on some drapery now. I have the black canary up here. So there's the shape. I'm going to put a few lines in just to see where I'm going to put my rendering lines. Throwing a shadow down. I'll be using a lot of white space. And we got to put some drapery on our arm here. Follow up on this C-shaped thing. As you can see, this really does handle well as a brush. My favorite brush of all of them is that Staedtler Mars Graphic 3000 Dual Brush, which is right here, but this is out of print now. They quit making it. So once in a while you can find them on eBay or Amazon. What'll happen is somebody will want to get rid of them and sell them really cheap. Like I recently got like around 20 of them for like around, I don't know, $15. I'm drawing the breast shape here. So once you establish a line there, you can kind of know how to do the shapes. And I'm going to throw a shadow down from the breast. Now, how did I learn that? Studying Wally Wood. And then after a while, you can just make it up because you studied it and copied it and studied and copied it, studied and copied it. Gil Kane, one time when I was starting out, I showed him some drawings I did. Of course, I was just drawing like these superhero poses. And he told me you should just copy the whole comic book. So I started doing that. I took one of his Green Lanterns and used tracing paper and kept tracing over every single panel. That way I was forced to learn how to draw furniture, stuff you don't want to draw. Trucks. Who wants to draw that, you know? John Buscema always complained about that. He wanted to draw like the more fantasy things like Thor or Conan, especially because he could make up everything. You didn't have to look at like a building, and even though he knew all that stuff, I can see why he didn't want to draw it. Russ Heath also stuck to that war stuff. I remember Neil Adams one time, he said he thought that Russ Heath was lazy because he was just wanting to draw the war stuff because he had the reference. He didn't have to look up additional reference for like buildings and cars and stuff. Gil Kane, on the other hand, was a bit unusual because he didn't seem to mind drawing cars and buildings. In fact, his perspective is some of the best perspective I've ever seen in the comic books. Because it's real perspective. He figured out vanishing points. Most of the comic artists would just find a panel and copy or trace it. But Gil would sit down and make it up. But of course, he practiced everyday anatomy. So he knew all the muscles and he could just draw out of his head if he wanted. But he also used references. So look at Frazetta, different artists. Okay, here we have like C shapes again. I'm going to ink this boot. Again, this is that Signa Uniball. I just love it. And here we're going to look at Hawk Woman, Hawk Girl. And I'm going to ink her headgear. No, I inked her breast parts here. I put shadows under the breast here, which is cool. And I'm going to render. Again, I select a midline and a midline. Once you do that, then you just keep working towards that midline. I'm going to change her costume. I know she has a full body, so I'm going to give her more of this halter top look. Again, put one line down. And it helps you get the rest of the drawing. Same with anatomy and stuff. Here's one line. I'm going to work on her wing. And you can do some pretty fancy stuff with the wing inking. Drawing the feathers. And I'm looking at the feathers here along the short lines. To run the shadow from the wing onto the feathers. Leave you a nice white space. Again, long lines to short lines. You want to ink on her helmet. I have to turn this around to get the angles for sure. And you just position it where you want it. And what I see here, what I'm going to do is there's a C shape, a long C shape, and then I'm going to select the middle. Okay, so that's today's lesson. I hope you learned a lot. And if you like my videos and want me to see more of them, please click the subscribers button and I'll keep producing them. Okay, see you next time.